Hello, my friends, and thanks for joining Al and I for MTDCNC North America, and we are at HAINBUCH America, and we're going to talk about centroteX. What centroteX can do for you: flexibility, rigidity, precision. We're going to save your back. Also, it's somewhat universal, which we're going to learn about as well. So, Al, thank you for being a part of MTDCNC.
Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to talk about our centroteX system because we have a fast and easy way of changing from one chuck to another, one chuck type to another, and being ready to machine right away as soon as you make that change. So we have a system where we install a base plate on your spindle nose and indicate it in, and indicate it once and never have to touch it again, and that's a receiver. Then we have a system of a base plate that goes on your work holding devices, no matter what work holding device it is. It could be our chucks, it could be OD clamping, ID clamping, a 3-jaw chuck, whatever. And once that's installed and indicated in, now we have a way of clamping or installing a chuck on your machine without having to indicate it at all. And it takes about 5 minutes or less, and it's ready to go and ready to make parts as soon as it's installed.
Well, the first thing you've touched on here, which is important, is flexibility. Now, we all know, everyone who's watching, all the machinists, all the owners, we know batch sizes are starting to decrease. We're not seeing the multi-million-dollar pieces of part as a norm, as regular as we used to. So flexibility is key. But what comes with flexibility, because when we're looking at turning machine centers like Brian's working on behind us, we also think about what happens to our back when we're loading and unloading these things. So the flexibility must also be easy enough for us to utilize without hurting ourselves. How does that work with you guys?
Very easy. So we have a Montec system that clamps onto the ring or adapter that's on your individual chuck, and allows you, with a type of crane allows you to install the chuck and align the chuck without grabbing the weight of it. You're just guiding it right into the machine. So it's fast, it's easy, and it's safe. No back breaking, no going into the machine and threading the chuck onto the draw tube, because that's already been done. We're plugging it into a receiver that we've already lined up, and we're ready to go.
Well, I know you have a customer that exists right now where they looked at the return on investment from injury alone, and it was easily able to pay off the system, as they had millions of dollars in liability when it came to their machinists loading and unloading their machines.
Sure, if you think about it, if it's a small chuck, you want to bend over and line it up and put it into the machine. If it's a little bit heavier chuck, you might have to climb into the machine and have an overhead crane with a strap on it. But you still have to thread it onto the drawbar. That's already been done with our adapter plate that's attached to your spindle nose, and that's not that heavy. So we eliminate that part of it. All the hard work is completed for you ahead of time. It's ready to make parts as soon as you install the chuck. And the flexibility part of it, you can go from ID clamping to OD clamping to small parts to large parts to 3-jaw chucks. And you can also go to another machine that might have this same adapter installed on it and take the same group of chucks that you have the adapter plate already attached to it and plug it into that machine. So versatility, holding tight tolerance still is what we're all about. Quick change, quick change, quick change.
Well, we all know the integrity of the German product. We all know the integrity and the quality that comes from HAINBUCH. If I've invested, say, tens of thousands of dollars in another setup, and I want to start working with HAINBUCH because I believe it's going to help me with my flexibility, it's going to help me speed up my cycle times in the sense of how much downtime do we really have when we're setting up, which you guys are reducing that into minutes. If I want to adapt an existing setup that I have, can I do that with HAINBUCH and bring that in?
Yes, you can put this on existing machines. You can put the adapter plate on existing chucks, and you can grow into it too. Every time you get another chuck, you put the centroteX system on it, and like I said, go from machine to machine to machine, or have several different work holding devices on one machine. So in the days of shorter part lots now, if you have an opening on a machine, you can move that part over to a different machine and take the work holding right over to it.
Well, as a machinist who used to also be a buyer for my department in a machine shop, having the capability to adapt over time would mean a lot to me as a buyer, to go, okay, well, I've already invested X amount of dollars over X amount of years, right? But I know I need this. I know I need to improve my processes. I know I need to reduce my setup times. I know I need better precision. I know I need, this extra rigidity, so I need to go with HAINBUCH. Well, now, because of this, as a buyer, I can do that piece by piece by piece, which allows me to invest over time.
And we've always had our adaptations that we can have one chuck in a machine and go from OD clamping to ID clamping to jaw chucks to a magnetic chuck. But now we can go to different machines with different chucks as well. And just like you said, you can build up and work into it. By all your new work holding devices can have the centroteX system on it and install it on any machine that you have.
And when we're talking about this, we obviously have this beautiful Hyundai Via behind us that Brian is working on, right? But we're talking turning centers and mills?
Turning centers and mills. We can do stationary clamping and rotary clamping with every single thing that we have from HAINBUCH. So if you hold a round part, or if you want to have a square rectangular profile cut into a clamping head, we can do that on a turning center or on a mill.
Well, let me ask you, Al. The world we live in right now has a massive skills gap in our community of manufacturing and engineering, and I see everywhere I go the implementation of cobots and robots. Can HAINBUCH also adapt to automation?
HAINBUCH absolutely can adapt to automation. Our smaller size centroteX can be loaded and unloaded with a robot. Also, our adaptations can be loaded and unloaded with a robot. So you could have lights out operations and go from one work holding device to another in the middle of the night unattended.
Well, something I love when I'm taking tours around the country of these magnificent machine shops like the one you have here is when a product is making its own product. Is that what's going on behind us with Brian? Is this HAINBUCH making HAINBUCH?
Yes, it is. In fact, we use the centroteX system on this machine right here and on other machines in our shop because our lot sizes are tiny. Sometimes it's one part and off, and then it goes to a larger diameter, smaller diameter, or whatever. So yes, we use our centroteX system. We use all our work holding devices, and we also use the adaptations to go from ID clamping to OD clamping on everything here. And you're right, the precision that we get, the rigidity that we get, the repeatability that we get is what we depend on for our parts.
Well, speaking of all of those components, if I'm out there right now watching and I want to know more about you, where can I look you up?
HAINBUCHAmerica.com.
HAINBUCHAmerica.com, guys. I appreciate you watching. Al, it's not easy to always pick up a microphone, but you are an expert. I got to end this before Al takes my job, guys. But thank you so much for watching. This is HAINBUCH America here in Wisconsin. HAINBUCH making HAINBUCH automation, flexibility, rigidity, precision. This is what's going to reduce your setup times, because isn't that what we're all fighting against, to get that lowest price per part anyway? Look them up, HAINBUCHAmerica.com.